I had a recent conversation with Carl Loco from Black Seed, is a friend of mine. He had a very distinct point, which is, something that kind of I thought about while you were speaking, Rachel. It's with the amount of capital that's available to the universe of entrepreneurs, it is shambolic. The amount of, in this conversation, we're talking about, the amount of capital available for Black founders. And, he had a very distinct point that cut through a lot of the noise, which was capital. Need capital. To provide capital is a very distinct solution that over time will play out. And it was a very refreshing one, because there could have been a lot of different fluff in that conversation about, and he's not saying that, the contributions that people are trying to make on the periphery of support.
Yeah, but you can only mentor someone so far. If they can't pay for office space, if they can't hire, then it doesn't matter.
This was an incredibly, poignant conversation that I had recently, and so it only kind of heightened the awareness for myself, which I share with the people in my organization. We need to help trigger that more, and this is why I feel like with all the things we can do to support it, that's the thing that we need to really try to prioritize. And I think it will happen over time. This isn't like an overnight success story. The feel-good factor, just because Black Lives Matter or whatever the movement might be, is a moment in time. But I think consistency is probably a core element that should stick in people's mind when they're thinking about taking this seriously. And so, if I were to bring it back to how we continue to remind ourselves as an organization, I think one of the first things we did, which quite frankly I was also I had a decent amount of anxiety, is make public all our goals in terms of ESG, D&I, and share that in an open source way. And this really comes from Nicholas's thought process of being open about a lot of it. He is a true believer that this will set us free, and it will also create commercial value, which has worked for those of us that participated in Skype all the way to Atomico. It is kind of how we roll.
Yeah.
And that is what we're doing to remind ourselves every year and saying, where did we come short? Because most of the time we are, right? And this is why I'm saying there's a lot of headroom, and which is why it has less to do with what the market is doing and competitors are doing or other colleagues are doing at other firms. It's just saying, okay, does this make sense? And getting feedback from you guys, and and saying, hey, is this do you think this is a good level setting of what we're trying to do? Those are the things that matter.